Okay, Dan. Now we're gonna make beef stew here. I got the beginning of beef stew. But today is Saturday, a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving. And one of the things I was gonna do was cook all day. So I'll try to edit this so that it makes sense. But if I don't get a chance to, and it all gets jumbled up together, I'm making beef stew for tonight's dinner. Moussaka, which you'll see on Thanksgiving, is a kind of a casserole with lots of layers. I don't know if you'll like it, but I'm going to show you how to make it anyway. And the other one, what's the other one? Oh, escarole soup with little meatballs in it. And I'm probably going to do all three all at once, but I'll try to make it look, like, anyway, so that it makes sense. I'm going to cut these up into cubes, and I'm going to brown them. And I'm going to cut up onions and mushrooms and brown them too. A can of tomato stuff, a bottle of beer, salt and pepper, things like that. And then I'm going to cook that all day long for tonight's beef stew. Maybe we'll have it with noodles, but I'll show you. This is beef bottom round roast. And it's not an expensive piece of meat, which is why we like to make beef stew with it. But it's a good one for beef stew. And it's a little tough and it needs cooking a long time. That's what you find out. This is fat. I'm going to take that off. And then when I cut these cubes, I'm going to cut the fat out of it too. That's always good to do. I don't know if you can see this. See that? I'm cutting it into cubes. Like about that size. I'll take some of that fat off. Okay, about that size. They get a little smaller when they're cooking, so you want to make sure you have you want them all about the same size, so they all cook, take the same amount of time to cook. Okay, there you go. Now I'll come back in a few minutes and show you what that's like. Alrighty. Now, this is all that beef, and over here, I don't know if you can see it, is all the fat that I cut off from it. Believe it or not, there's only going to be 3 of us here for dinner. But we eat leftovers. Now, I got some oil in a pan going, and I'm just going to put this stuff in the pan. All this beef goes in here, and then I put a little salt and pepper on it. Not too much, just, a couple of turns on the pepper grind and maybe a teaspoon or so of salt. And I'm going to brown that over on the stove. And I'm going to let the edges get brown, because that's where the flavor is, when the sides of the meat get brown, not gray. But when they get the little brown crust on it, you don't want it too high. You want it like medium high, and you want to stay there and watch it and turn it a couple times so that brown doesn't turn black, because then it gets a kind of a harsh taste in it. But when it just gets brown, it's a sweet taste. So I'll put some salt and pepper on this and cook this for a few more minutes, and then I'll cut up an onion. I'll show you how to do that. Hold on a sec. We'll change the board, because you're not supposed to use the same board for meat that you use for vegetables, because there's germs in the meat that hurt the vegetables. And you. Those germs will hurt you too. So here's my little onion board. And I'll cut an onion. Peel off that outside. Actually, these are small. I'm going to get a couple of them, because actually we'll get 3, because you need a lot of good flavor in this. And that was a lot of meat. So I'll cut up these onions and throw away the outside layer of the grody layer. junky wipe, and wash that off and chop it up. You don't have to worry about, this is stew, so we don't have to worry about chopping it real fine or beautiful. In fact, you can leave onion rings in the stew. Sometimes that's a nice texture in there. We don't mess with a lot of vegetables in our beef stew. We don't put a lot of, I don't know, green beans and stuff in it. We just like onions, meat, maybe some mushrooms, like that. Okay? So I'll chop them up and put them in with the meat once that meat starts to brown a little bit, and I'll be back. And say hello for a second after I explain what's going on. Okay, Dan, this is sort of typical of where my life falls apart. I started to make stock for the escarole soup I was telling you about. Meantime, I got beef stew cooking, and I've got a couple of other things getting ready to go on. This was the day to cook, so that's why I got the film out. Then Ben woke up and wanted breakfast. So now I got sausage and eggs and, what do you call this? Scones. I got coffee going. What time is it?
I don't know, about 11.
About 11 o'clock. He's up early today. I thought I could get most of
Up
this
early?
done.
This is the latest I've been up in weeks.
Yeah, he can't see you over there. You gotta come down here and say hello.
She offered.
Anyway,
Wasn't my idea.
it's gonna get a little hairy. This is the butter for the eggs. What I suggest you do is just kind of fast forward through a few minutes of this, because that's pretty much how my life feels at the moment. All right? All right, what are we doing? We got eggs.
Should I stop it? Or?
No, that's all right, because it's going to be done in a couple seconds anyway.
Cool.
And here's your coffee. Get a mug
This
up
is
for
early
you.
for him.
Huh?
It's the latest I've been up in weeks, maybe even a couple of months.
A couple of months.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What?
All right. Oh dear. Sausage is brown too much.
Right, put it from there.
Okay.
You know, I was just talking about.
Huh? Oh yeah, I could put that. See,
Done?
No, it's gonna pop up in a second and it'll be done.
That's usually what I do. Is just
What's
cook
that?
them all in one pan.
Okay, put your cup here so we can see you pouring your coffee as soon as it's done. What do you take in that coffee? Lots of sugar, lots of milk?
A little sugar, a little milk.
These are leeks, by the way. I got one more left. I'm going to show you how to cut that. Okay. This is a leek, and you have to cut off the root. That's Ben's toast that's popping up there. And you have to peel off all these outside pieces and cut off this top section here. There's his toast coming in. Do you have margarine for that toast, Ben?
Well, I'm going to be dipping in the eggs anyway, so.
Oh, okay. This is real important. They grow leeks in sand, and when you cut it open, very often there's like dirt in here, which is not very nice at the bottom of your soup bowl. Here's a little bit of that dirt, that sandy dirt in there.